Hello, welcome to Love Lust Betrayal. Subscribe if you like our stories. Let's dive into the story. She called me to her backup plan, so I ended the engagement in front of everyone. From the moment I met Emily, I thought she was the love of my life. We had a storybook romance, the kind you read about in novels or see in movies. It began on a crisp fall morning at a local coffee shop. I had spilled my coffee on her table by accident, and as I clumsily apologized, she laughed. A soft, melodic sound that immediately caught my attention. That laugh became my favorite sound in the world. We quickly became inseparable. Emily was everything I had ever wanted in a partner. Smart, ambitious, kind, and effortlessly beautiful. We had long walks in the park, talked about our dreams, and shared countless moments of quiet intimacy that made me feel like the luckiest man alive. After 2 years of dating, I was certain she was the one. I planned the perfect proposal, a picnic at her favorite spot by the lake during sunset. I even hired a local musician to play her favorite song in the background. When I got down on one knee, her eyes sparkled with tears as she said yes. At that moment, life felt perfect. The months that followed were a blur of wedding planning and excitement. We chose a rustic venue, hand-picked flowers that matched our color scheme, and carefully curated a guest list of family and friends who meant the world to us. Emily seemed as excited as I was, or so I thought. Looking back, I realized there were subtle signs, moments I dismissed as unimportant, like the time she hesitated when we were discussing the guest list, and asked if I'd be okay if she didn't invite a certain old friend. Or the way she sometimes seemed lost in thought, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. But I loved her too much to question these things. I trusted her completely. Then came the evening that shattered my world. About a month before the wedding, Emily invited me over to her apartment. She had a few of her friends over for what she called a pre-wedding celebration. It wasn't anything formal, just a casual gathering with wine, laughter, and the kind of chatter that fills the room when old friends reunite. At first, I felt a bit out of place. Most of the conversation revolved around wedding details and memories from their college days, stories I wasn't a part of. But Emily kept glancing over at me, smiling in a way that made me feel included. She even reached out to squeeze my hand a few times, as if to say, "I'm glad you're here." As the night went on, the wine flowed freely, and the conversation became more personal. Emily's friends began teasing her about how lucky she was to have found me. "Liam's such a catch," one of them said. "Seriously, Emily, you hit the jackpot." I laughed modestly, brushing off the compliments, but I noticed Emily's cheeks flush. She waved her hand dismissively and said, "Oh, stop it, you're embarrassing me." Then Chelsea, one of Emily's closest friends, chimed in with a comment that froze me in my tracks. "Yeah, Emily, you always said if things didn't work out with you-know-who, you'd settle for a nice guy like Liam." The room fell silent. The laughter and chatter evaporated as everyone looked at me, then at Emily, whose face had turned bright red. I felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. My mind raced, trying to process what I'd just heard. Settle for a nice guy like Liam? What did that even mean? Emily let out a nervous laugh, her voice shaky. "Oh, Chelsea, don't be ridiculous, that was just a joke from years ago." But I couldn't let it go. I looked directly at her, my voice calm but firm. "What does she mean by that, Emily?" Emily stammered, avoiding my gaze. "It's nothing, Liam. Seriously, it's just a stupid thing I said a long time ago. You know how girls talk." Chelsea, seemingly oblivious to the tension she just caused, decided to elaborate. "Oh, come on, Emily. You used to say it all the time back then. You always said if your thing with Ryan didn't work out, you'd marry someone like Liam, someone safe." Safe? The word echoed in my head like a gunshot. I felt the weight of her words pressing down on me, suffocating me. Was that how she saw me? Not as the love of her life, but as a safety net. A backup plan. I turned to Emily, searching her face for some kind of denial, some kind of explanation that would make this all go away. But her expression was one of panic and guilt. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. Finally, she managed to whisper, "It's not what it sounds like, Liam. I love you." But the damage was done. The pieces started falling into place. The way she had always avoided talking about her past with Ryan, her ex-boyfriend. The way she had been distant during the early months of our relationship, like she was waiting for something, or someone else. I felt like a fool. My mind raced as I replayed every moment of our relationship, every word she'd ever said, every smile she'd ever given me. Was it all a lie? Was I just the convenient choice, the guy she settled for when her first choice didn't work out? The rest of the evening passed in a blur. Emily tried to act normal, but I could see the tension in her every move. Her friends, sensing the awkwardness, made excuses and left early. When it was just the two of us, Emily finally broke the silence. "Liam, please, don't read too much into what Chelsea said. She was just being stupid." "Was she?" I asked, my voice cold. "Because it didn't sound like a joke, Emily. It sounded like the truth." She started to cry, her tears falling freely as she reached for my hand. "Liam, I swear, I love you. You're the only one I want to be with." But I couldn't bring myself to believe her, not after what I'd heard. That night, as I lay awake in bed, the weight of her betrayal crushed me. The woman I thought I would spend the rest of my life with had just admitted, in so many words, that I was her second choice. And I wasn't sure I could ever forgive her for that. I couldn't sleep that night. Emily tried to call and text me, but I ignored her. My mind was racing, replaying every moment of our relationship and questioning everything I thought I knew about her. I realized I needed to confront her, to hear the truth directly from her. The next day, I asked Emily to meet me for lunch. She showed up looking nervous, her hands fidgeting as she sat across from me. "Liam," she started, "about last night." I cut her off. "I need you to be honest with me, Emily. Was I really your plan B? Did you agree to marry me because I was safe?" Her eyes welled up with tears. "Liam, it's not like that. I love you. I do. But I guess in the beginning I wasn't over Ryan. I was hurt and you made me feel secure. But that doesn't mean I don't love you now." Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. She didn't deny it. I was her safety net, her consolation prize. My heart broke, but beneath the pain was a growing sense of anger. I deserved better than this. I didn't say much after that. I told her I needed time to think and left the restaurant. For the next week, I avoided her calls and texts, focusing on myself and trying to decide what to do. Part of me wanted to believe her, to move forward and make things work. But another part of me couldn't shake the feeling that I was settling for someone who had never truly chosen me. Then came the engagement party. It was a big event. Her family, my family, our friends, all gathered to celebrate our upcoming wedding. I hadn't planned to make a scene, but as I stood there looking around at everyone congratulating us, I realized I couldn't go through with it. Not like this. Emily was mingling with guests when I tapped my glass to get everyone's attention. The room quieted and all eyes turned to me. "I just want to thank everyone for coming tonight," I began, my voice steady. "It means a lot to have all of you here to celebrate this milestone in our lives." I glanced at Emily, who was smiling nervously. "But I need to say something important. Something I've been thinking about a lot over the past week." The room grew tense as I continued. "I've recently learned something that made me question everything about my relationship with something that made me realize I deserve someone who sees me as their first choice, not their backup plan." Emily's face turned pale. "Liam, what are you doing?" she whispered, stepping toward me. I looked her in the eye, my voice firm. "I can't marry someone who doesn't truly love me for who I am. I deserve better than being someone's safe option. So I'm ending this engagement. Gasps filled the room. Emily's mother looked like she was about to faint, and her friends whispered among themselves. Emily started crying, reaching for me, but I stepped back. I'm sorry, Emily. I hope you find what you're looking for. But it's not me. With that, I placed the engagement ring on the table, turned, and walked out of the room. As I stepped into the cool night air, a sense of relief washed over me. For the first time in weeks, I felt free. I may have been her plan B, but that night, I became my own plan A. Thanks for watching. If you've ever been in a situation where you felt like someone wasn't truly choosing you, how did you handle it? Share your story in the comments below. Also, on a totally different note, if you could live anywhere in the world for a year, where would it be and why? Let's talk dreams and adventures.